guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here on my home turf, and very soon I'm going to tell you what the heck this is all about. Behind me is this 2025 Chevy Silverado EV RST, and what I wanted to do with this drive is I wanted to go a little bit deeper, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to drive to an event from Clearwater, which is in the Tampa Bay area, all the way to Disneyland, that Orlando area. We're actually not going to Disney, but we're going out there for another media event, and I decided, you know what? We're not even going to worry about this. The whole idea is we have about 65% charge, and I want to see if we could go from Tampa to Orlando and Orlando back to Tampa without having to worry about it. No plan, no clue where we're going to charge, but let's see what it's like going long distance with this Silverado EV RST and see if we're going to be scared about where we're going to get stuck. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go hit the highways and see how far we could go with the charge on this Silverado EV. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel of this brand new Chevrolet Silverado RST EV. And we, like we talked about in the intro, are doing a road trip to Orlando, and we're going strictly based off of how much charge we have. Right now we're at 65%, which tells me that I have a range of 293 miles. We're looking at about 100 miles to our destination in Orlando. So what I really wanted to do with this driving vlog is kind of showcase, first of all, how this Silverado EV RST is for a long distance drive when it comes to comfort, amenities, all those goodies, but also, is that mileage accurate? Because remember, Chevrolet says that we have a 450 mile range if this thing is fully charged. And right now we're at 65%. Now, the reason why I don't have it at 100%, if you're wondering, is I don't have a charger at my house, a home charging unit. And in the Clearwater area where I live, charging stations like Charge America is what you need to use for this Silverado EV are far and few between. Right across the way here is a Wawa station. They're all Tesla superchargers. So if you have a Ford and you have the adapter, like say you have a Lightning and you have the adapter, you can use that Tesla charger. With the Chevys, whether it's the Silverado EV, whether it's the Blazer EV, the Equinox EV, as of right now, you cannot utilize that charger. But I have it all set up using the Google Maps because, remember, there is nada, zilch, zip, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in this vehicle. So you're kind of forced to use the Google Maps, which is what we're using. Getting to that massive screen, the 17.7 inch screen, is well within reach. And I do like all the information that is displayed, not only on the digital gauge cluster, but also in the head-up display, which is also super large. Now, of course, this EV weighs around 9,000 pounds, so she's not a lightweight whatsoever. We do have regen braking, and you do have one pedal operation, which if I do, knock on wood, if I do hit traffic, which obviously I'm hoping I don't hit traffic, I could then turn on the one pedal operation and make that traffic situation a little bit more bearable. But it's amazing how quiet they have made this vehicle. And they have to, because you don't have an engine underneath the hood that's kind of canceling out some of the vibrations that you normally would have in a truck or any vehicle that's going down the road. Not a lot of wind noise, and with those massive wheels, you would think the ride would be harsh, but we have that air ride suspension, and I feel like I'm sitting on a pillow right now. But it's gonna be fascinating to see, because we have no plan on where a charging station would be in Orlando. So it's gonna be interesting. I really wanted to kind of go at it with no plan. The reason why is I want to find out if this mileage that people are gonna rely on that's displayed here, is it really what it is? Or is it just all make-believe? And that's the argument that I've been saying for a very long time on all the EVs, not just Chevys or anything from General Motors, is that whatever range that they project, in this case 450-mile range, how did they get that range? Is it downhill with nobody in it and nothing in the vehicle and a tailwind pushing you? Or is it something like what we're doing today, driving in Florida, which we all know the state is relatively flat, except for speed bumps, and going on I-4, which is basically, once we get on I-4, you're on I-4 all the way from the Tampa area to St. Petersburg. Excuse me, to Orlando, which is where we're going. But I'm going to check in with you along the way and see how we're doing. I do have to say, I love this paddle on the left hand of the steering wheel. I'm pulling my feet away from the pedals. I'm not even using the brake pedal. This actually is a paddle that allows you to brake with your finger. Kind of like those touches, I'll be honest. Chevy and General Motors bring some nice touches. Liz, I'm at a complete stop and I have my finger on the pedal, not my foot on the pedal. So finger on the paddle, no foot on the pedal. Obviously the Google Maps is rerouting me, does that little ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong. I want to give it a ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong back, saying I'd rather use Apple CarPlay right now. But this way I know is faster than the way that it's telling me to go to get to I-4. But like I said, when you go RST, it's interesting how on the EV, not on the regular Silverado, but on the EV, RST is the top trim. So they kind of flip the script on the EV. Normally, RST on a regular Silverado is closer to the bottom. So RST fully loaded, 9,000 pounds, over 600 horsepower. Kind of crazy in a truck. We do have Super Cruise, which I'll utilize some of that once we get on I-4. And everything else is just very, very comfy in here. So we're gonna hit the open road, and I will be checking back with you once we hit around the Lakeland area. All right, guys, we have made it. We are in Lakeland. I'm showing 261 miles left to charge when it comes to range, and it's saying 56% battery life. Now, one thing I do like is on the Google Maps, it does tell me what my battery percent charge will be when we get to our destination in Orlando, and it's guesstimating 42%. Another thing I want to reiterate on is when the vehicle was dropped off to my house, it was Tuesday. When I went to go plug the charger into my home outlet, my 120 home outlet, on the dash it immediately said that it would be fully charged at 100% by Sunday at 7 p.m. So that's why I was saying, like, I would highly recommend getting yourself a home charger, paying the extra money, which those could range anywhere from, you know, depending on where you're looking, and Chevy might have a promotion where they you know, subsidize some of that cost for you, but it could be anywhere from $3,500 on up. I mean, I've seen them as high as $5,000 to $6,000 for the whole complete install and everything. But that's just another thing to be aware of is if you're gonna just use the regular extension cord and the charger and plug it into your home outlet, that is the slowest way, of course, to charge it. And on this vehicle, it's extra slow. It basically charges 1 mile of range per hour. And it actually displays that on the screen once you plug it in. But so far, so good. I mean, the ride is so comfortable in here. The way it's super silent, even with those massive wheels and tires that we have. It's fascinating though. This is probably one of the slowest drives I've ever done to Orlando, because being in an EV and not having any kind of plan to charge this thing, I don't want to go too fast. I don't want to go over the speed limit because I don't want to use more juice. And when you're on the highway, you're not really doing a lot of regen braking unless it's stop and go traffic, or say somebody slows down in front of you and you let off the throttle and you get a little bit of charge going on. That's all that the regen that's happening. Your best recipe for driving this thing is in the city, because when you are braking at lights, stop signs, traffic, people, you know, a row of nuns that are crossing the street, that's when the regen braking is going to take place. But let's super cruise. So easy, one button operation, and here we are. You just press the button on the left-hand side. Once it's green on top of the steering wheel, you are good to go. And that's why I say this is my favorite. It's actually changing lanes right now. This is my favorite autonomous driving system out of all of them, because A, it's very easy to use, B, it works amazingly well. And once you get used to it, it's really not too anxiety filling. I mean, I still, even now, I don't know, there's just something about not being in control of what's going on right now. And GM continues to outshine the competition by adding more and more miles of road to the system, including back roads, which that to me is the amazing part, are those one lane coming, one lane going back country roads. To have those in the system is pretty phenomenal. One thing to do it on a highway, another thing to do it on a back road. But you could easily turn on the turn signal and it will change for you. And there we are. And it tells you that the change is complete on the dash. It also lets you see if there's anybody in that blind spot. It won't do the change if somebody is in the blind spot. And that's why a lot of new vehicles that have some type of semi-autonomous driving or full autonomous driving have that little piece of gloss black on top of the steering column. It's actually measuring my eyes. It's making sure that I'm looking forward and paying attention. I'm not taking a nap. I'm not playing Pokemon on my Wii, my Nintendo Wii. No, I do not own a Nintendo Wii. I will play Game Boy Black and White over a Wii any day of the century. And don't even get me started on a PSP. But you can't do any of those things. But it is nice to have this be standard, especially because of the price of the truck. It makes sense that it is standard when you're flexing your technological muscle. But we're about 33 miles away, and it looks like we gained a little bit of charge. Originally, when we left my house, it was saying 41% charge when we arrive at our destination. It's now saying 43% charge. So either I've been doing a good job, or this Silverado EV's been doing a good job of regenerating some of that lost battery use. But I mean, look at this. It's crazy how good of a system this is. And I'll be honest, when I first used it in a Cadillac CT5, I was a little worried. I was freaked out. But I've learned to calm down a little bit. I focus on mindfulness. I focus on peace and harmony and the universe. See, right now it's looking for an open lane. It gave me a little kind of vibration in my seat because obviously that big 18-wheeler was there. So, pretty good system. Looking for an opening lane, changing lanes. It actually tells you what it's doing. But that's the thing, is you get to work on your mindfulness. You know, that reminds me back when I was a kid. Nobody focused on mindfulness because it automatically happened when you were sitting in a doctor's office, when you're sitting on the school bus, when you're sitting on a train, even sometimes you're sitting in your own house, because we didn't have smartphones with all this crap on it. Apps for this, apps for that. Now, because you are so inundated with technology, this is how you have to focus on mindfulness now. Back in the day, you used to just sit in a dentist's office. You'll walk out of there like you reached nirvana. But we're gonna go ahead and continue this good luck that I'm having. Fingers crossed, double fingers crossed. So we're going for extra luck here on our way to Orlando. And I'll let you know when we get to our destination, or at least close to it, and see how accurate this has been. All right, guys, so we are basically about 4 minutes away from our destination, and I have to admit, this has been a pretty painless drive to Orlando so far. Now, of course, that's only half the story, because we're gonna have to get back home, and it's gonna be basically during rush hour traffic, and that's gonna be a little miserable. But when it comes to actual range, it's spot on. It's saying that I have 225 miles left. I'm at 48% charge, and I'm actually better. By the time we get to our destination, I'm actually 5% better than what it originally said when we left our house. So far, so good with this Ultium battery pack, the way that this Silverado drives. And remember, we're on 24-inch wheels, which the larger the wheel you have, the worse your range is going to be. But it doesn't seem to be working that way in this Silverado EV. So we're going to get to the destination. We're like I said, 3-4 minutes out, and then we're going to see how the rest of this drive home goes, and if we make it home without being stuck on the side of the road. All right, guys, crazy thing. You know, we didn't hit any traffic this whole time until we got back to Clearwater. But the good news is that sitting in this traffic, I've been able to play around with the one pedal operation. I like the fact that you're able to pull out from the main menu screen with all the different icons and apps. You could pull out certain ones that are very important to you. And in an EV, an important one's gonna be that one pedal operation. I've been able to turn it on, turn it off, and I like the fact that you could adjust it. Now, being in a traffic situation, I do not like the fact that you have only heavy and normal. I wish there were a couple other options, because heavy is just way too much braking. It's really herky-jerky. Go normal or don't use it at all, because the heavy braking is too much. I just wish there was a low. There's only heavy and low. Excuse me, heavy and normal. I wish that there was a low setting. But the great news is it makes sitting in traffic a lot easier, because you don't have to take your foot, your right foot, and go throttle, brake, throttle, brake, throttle, brake. Once you get the hang of it, it takes a little bit of time. You can modulate your foot nicely while you're sitting in traffic. Now, on the way out to Orlando, we used 20% charge. We started with 65. We used 20% charge to get to Orlando. We chose not to put on a charger. And basically what we're gonna be looking at by the time we get home is around 23% charge left. So not too shabby for a 9,000 pound truck with 2 electric motors to be able to do from Clearwater to Tampa and back, Clearwater through Tampa to Orlando and back, and without have to put on the charger. So to me, that speaks volumes of the Ultium battery pack and the regen capability of this truck. But I'm hoping that this vlog has been a good one to really kind of dive head first into owning an EV and trying to go long distance and do it unplanned, not have this whole course map. I didn't go on MapQuest and print out a bunch of stuff to try to figure out how I'm gonna do it. I just decided to roll the dice, and thankfully, besides this traffic in Clearwater, we were able to make it home safe and sound. But we're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, I'm so glad we didn't get stuck. We made it home, but it's interesting to see what this Silverado EV RST brings. That top trim, almost 9,000 pound truck, and not even with 100% charge, we were able to make it to Orlando and back in the rain on the highway. And I'm happy that we were able to make it without getting divorced. Lori and I getting divorced over this whole drive, because she was concerned that we were gonna get stuck. But let me know what you think. Do you enjoy these deep dive reviews where we kind of take a vehicle and answer a question with it? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. I'll come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for putting your support in Raiti's Rides, and thank you for being here day in and day out. Gotta give it up, not only to Lori, but also Steven. They're always working the cameras like the champions that they are. Show them some love in the comment section. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.